was born in Los Angeles, and my dad said he wanted to move to the country because he didn't want his boys growing up getting involved in gangs and going to prison. So he moved us down to a little community of Livingston, 3,000 people, and everything that he thought would happen in Los Angeles happened to me in that little town. And one day, my mom woke me and all my siblings up. She put us in a little car we had. She drove us to Los Angeles, which was almost 300 miles away. We were there for a few hours, and she put us in the car and drove us back to Oakland. My dad showed up. Him and my mother went outside, and they talked, and Mom came back in crying, and next thing I know, all of us kids were in the car, and Dad took us home, and that was the last time my mother lived with us. We'd see her every now and then, but I was just, I'd go to bed at night crying because I was always wondering where was my mom, and I wanted her to be there. One particular day she came home. I remember she pulled up in our yard, and I just grabbed my mom, and I was going, my mom was home, my mom was home, my mom was home. And 3 or 4 days later, woke up one morning, my mom had the trunk of her car open, and she was putting clothes in the trunk, and she was crying, and I said, Mama, what are you doing? And I put it together that she was getting ready to leave again, so I jumped in the trunk of the car, I pulled some clothes over on me, and my dad, he came, and he saw me, and he pulled me out. And as my mom was driving off, I was screaming, let me go, let me go. And I looked down the road till I could see the car no longer. And I went out in the grape field behind the house, and I just started hitting the dirt. And I kept saying over and over again, no one's ever gonna hurt me like that again. No one's ever gonna hurt me like that again. Even at a very young age, I came to this realization. If life is about being hurt, I'm gonna be the one hurting people. My mom and dad eventually divorced. I was 8 years old, my older brother was 9, and there were 4 younger siblings. And my father kept all of us kids. And my life just began to change. As I got older, I became more disruptive, got in some trouble, went to juvenile hall, started packing knives and guns and all. One day my grandfather came to see me, and I'll never forget. He said, I heard you get in trouble. He said, I want to tell you one thing. That name Huddleston, it is not your name, it's mine. You either change your name or change your character. And he turned and walked away. I was internalizing all this pain and all this hatred and all this anger. When I was 17 years old, I was involved in the robbery with 2 other older gentlemen. And before the evening was over, a man died. And I was sent to prison here in California, a minimum of 5 years and a maximum the rest of my life. My father came down to the county jail not long after I'd been arrested. I could tell he'd been crying, he had hurt in his face, but somehow he mustered up a smile. He reached over and picked up the phone. I picked up my phone, he looked me right in the face, and he said, son, we're in trouble. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to make it. And when I got to prison, my father showed up again. And he showed up again. And he showed up again. And I remember even telling him, Dad, because he always wanted to talk about God, about Jesus. I said, I don't want to hear about God. You know, you don't understand what this place is like. So he quit talking about Jesus. But he kept coming. And that was probably the most powerful thing he could have done. He kept coming. And so his words about Jesus ceased, but his life about Jesus continued. I tried to call my sister, and you could only call Colette at the time, and she wasn't home. And I called 2 other people, and nobody was home. And I remember going out in the prison yard saying, you know what? Nobody's ever there when you need them. And I could hear my father's voice. I could hear him say these words, son, you'll never be anywhere where Jesus can't be. And I looked up to heaven, and I said, Jesus, I don't even believe you exist. But my father says you do, and he's never lied to me. And if you exist, if you really exist, I need whatever you have to offer. And my life was dramatically changed that night. But that particular night, after giving my life to Christ, I began to read and study the Bible. And I'm telling you, I was looking at this Bible the other day, and there's probably not a page in this Bible that there's not some writing on, because I began to realize that if I was going to change, it was going to have to be the power of God. And I began to read, and I began to study, and I began to study, and I began to read, and my life began to change from the inside out. I probably should have done a lot more time But there was such a change in my life that after almost 5 years, actually 2 months shy of 5 years, I was released on parole, and my father was there to take me home. I got out of prison on April the 9th, and I saw this beautiful young lady in church. My dad had picked out for me. He was right. He knew what pretty was, but he also knew what character was. And within 3 months, we were married. August the 21st, 1976, greatest day of my life. It wasn't long after we were married that my wife began to challenge me about preparing for ministry because she sensed the call of God on my life as well. And she said one day, you should go to school and earn a doctorate degree. Well, I finished high school in prison. In that moment, I thought to myself, she's smoking something. There's no way in the world I can go to school and earn a doctorate degree. But what happened was, when she said those words, it did something inside of me. In the same way my father believed in me and gave me hope, Linda's words gave me hope. And so I had earned a bachelor's and a master's, and we pastored for 11 and a half years. But during our tenure of being senior pastors, I went back to school. I enrolled in a doctoral ministry program at Regent University in Virginia Beach, Virginia. In 1976, my wife challenged me to go back to school, period, and earn a doctorate degree. And almost 30 years to the day, her prediction, her desires, her prayer for my life came true. So today, as Dr. Samuel Michael Huddleston, I am the Assistant District Superintendent of Northern California and Nevada Assemblies of God, which means I help to oversee over 450 plus churches. I've been told that at this season of the history of the Assemblies of God, I'm the highest ranking district official of color. God has allowed us to write 2 books. The first book is called 5 Years to Life. The second book is called Grand Slam. And we're also working on a 3rd book, and it's about my father. There is nothing Jesus Christ cannot do. And if he can do what he has done for me, oh, I know he can do something for you. I'm Dr. Samuel M. Huddleston, and this is my comeback.